morning, Florida. Welcome back here to another weather forecast. My name is Andrew Heichman. Now, for today, we got ourselves quite the hefty update here for you guys regarding Florida over the next few days here. We're going to start off here with the satellite and radar view here. We're going to dive into the Storm Prediction Center outlook for any possible severe weather threat. We're going to talk about the future radar, the temperature forecast, the tropical weather outlook, as we got a couple things to talk about there, the wind forecast, the future satellite, and lastly, to end it all, the drought monitor here for today. Now, guys, if you do ultimately enjoy this, be sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, maybe consider sharing this to a friend or a family member. It'll be greatly appreciated. We'll definitely help out the channel. And for today, we're also going to start something pretty interesting. We're going to start doing the question of the day. And for today's question, what is your favorite type of candy? Leave it down in the comments below, and I just might heart your comments. All right, everybody. Well, thank you all so much for watching. We're going to go ahead and dive right on into it here. So starting off this morning here, take a look at the satellite and radar. We are pretty clear across bits of the northern side of Florida. A couple clouds here and there, nothing too big. Same thing for bits of northern Florida out by the Big Bend area. Central Florida, pretty clear for the most part. Now, bits of South Florida, we do have a little bit of shower, a little bit of storm activity here this morning across bits of the Keys. Not really seeing a whole lot of anything here too crazy per se, but we do have a little bit of precipitation popping off here this morning. Overall, we are pretty dry across bits of Florida, as we did see that air mass roll through, driving some pretty dry conditions across bits of the state here. So we are looking pretty good across Florida, relatively dry for now. All right, everybody, now we're working our way over here into the severe weather outlook for today. We are not expecting any severe weather, thankfully, for today overall. Bits of the Panhandle, though, we could see maybe a couple showers, a couple booms of thunder possible out by areas like Pensacola, although I doubt we'll see much of anything here for today, as we do have a general thunderstorm threat here. Once again, North Florida looking pretty dry, Central Florida, same thing here. Now, for South Florida, we do actually have a general thunderstorm threat for bits of the Everglades, bits along the lower coastal portions of Miami, bits of Fort Lauderdale. Could see maybe a few booms of thunder, a couple of showers could be present across some of these regions here. Same thing for the Keys. But honestly, we are once again relatively dry here for today. Now, as we go into tomorrow's risk here overall, you actually notice that we also have ourselves another risk for a couple of storms across bits of the far western panhandle here, and of course bits of southern Florida. And then we dive our way into the day after for tomorrow. It's weird how I said it that way, but actually going into Sunday, we do have that thunderstorm threat kind of pushing a little bit further north into a little bit of central Florida. So a couple storms possible on Sunday for, once again, bits of the far western panhandle of Florida, bits of central and southern Florida as well. All right, everybody, shifting gears over here into the future radar here for today. We once again are not expecting a whole lot of activity across bits of northern Florida, although as we work our way into the evening hours, there is a little bit of signals of maybe a few showers across bits of central Florida here for today. But we really don't have any instability, so I'm not expecting any storm activity. If we did get anything, it would probably just be a little bit of shower activity here. Now, for South Florida, as you can kind of see here, let's go ahead and actually zoom in a little bit closer to some of these areas here in South Florida. But if you zoom in, we actually do have maybe a couple of storms here later on this evening throughout bits of the afternoon. So it is going to be quite a rainy day for areas like the Keys, bits of the Everglades, could see definitely a couple of storms here for today. But like we mentioned here, once again, I mean, for areas up north, especially out by the Panhandle, not really expecting a whole lot. Once again, I mean, maybe a couple showers on the far western side of the Panhandle. But for the most part, I mean, yeah, we are relatively dry here for today. That's going to change over the next few days, though. But at least for today, we are looking mighty fine. All right, everybody, so now we're diving way over here into the future expected temperatures here for today based off of the American HRRR model. So we're going to dive into right around 4 o'clock p.m. because that is right around peak heating when it is the hottest outside here. So it is going to be quite actually a warm day for bits here of Florida. Starting off here in the Panhandle, we're going to be mostly seeing into the mid-80s on the interior side of the Panhandle. Bits of the coastal regions here could be into the upper 70s, lower 80s for today. Bits of northern Florida definitely going to be pretty warm out there by the Big Bend region, possibly into the lower 90s here, upper 80s for today. Areas out by Jacksonville, maybe a little bit cooler since we're closer to the coast here. Central Florida definitely is going to be pretty warm. Look at this, out by Tampa, possibly into the mid-90s, maybe mid-lower 90s here for today, according to the American HRRR. Definitely not as hot out by Orlando, possibly more into the upper 80s here for today. And of course, bits of South Florida, believe it or not, actually cooler here overall. Those storms are probably going to help cool some things down here, that cloud cover and all, so that'll definitely be good. But definitely still seeing, I mean, a pretty warm day overall, upper 70s, maybe lower 80s here for bits of lower Florida here overall. So, for some areas, definitely the central northern side of Florida, it is going to be a quite warm day out there. All right, everybody, so now we're diving away over here into the tropical weather outlook, and I am so happy to say that here in the Atlantic Basin, bits of the Caribbean and the Gulf, we are not expecting any activity here in the next 7 days. Although things are starting to get a little crazy out there in the Eastern Pacific, we actually do have a tropical storm, the very first named system here of the Eastern Pacific season. We do have Tropical Storm Amanda, currently clocking in at 45-mile-per-hour sustained winds this morning, expecting to continue westward. A slight change in track here to the southwest is expected here over the next day or so, as the system will continue to be well away from areas of land, not being much of an issue. Now, speaking of issues, these could actually become a problem. We have two other areas we're watching. Tropical Disturbance 1 over here, just south of Mexico City. This one has an overall 70% chance of development in the next 7 days. Throughout the next 48 hours of the next 2 days, we are expecting a 30% chance here. So not expecting the system to really develop in the next 2 days, although the next week there is a really good shot on it. We're going to talk more about this in my main channel. I'm actually going to make another video here for the main channel. We're going to go more into the models and stuff like that here. So be sure to check out the main page here in the description below. This video is going to be out first before that one, but I just want to go and let you guys know. Also, we have another area here, Tropical Disturbance 2, overall a 60% chance of development in the next 7 days, and of course, throughout the next 48 hours, a 20% chance overall. So while the Atlantic looks pretty good, the Pacific, we have a little bit of problems, and these storms are expected to possibly push north into Central America and bits of Mexico, so it could be a bit of a problem, something we definitely need to look out for. All right, everybody, so now we're taking a look here at the wind forecast according to the American HRRR model. So as we work our way down in time, we're definitely going to be picking up those winds here a little bit later on this evening, possibly mostly around 10 to 15 miles an hour. Now, we could be seeing a little bit higher gusts here. If we do hop over here to the max expected wind gusts here, we are going to be seeing those gusts possibly into maybe even the mid-20s out there by central and western Florida as we work way later on into the evening. So nothing super crazy, although we could get a little gusty on later on into the evening for bits of central and western Florida. Alrighty, friends, so now we're moving our way over here into the future cloud cover according to the American HRRR model. And it's going to be mostly a relatively clear day here for today for bits of central and northern Florida. Bits of southern Florida definitely could see maybe a few clouds here for today overall, but honestly, we are looking at a pretty nice day overall. We do have a couple of clouds possible for bits of central Florida as we work our way into the evening hours here for today, but like I said, for the most part, it looks like a pretty good day out there. Alrighty, guys, now the last thing we're going to take a look at here for today is the drought monitor here. It is definitely still really bad out here in Florida. We are still seeing a lot of nasty drought conditions. Bits of the panhandle, especially out the western sides, honestly not too bad. We're in a little bit of a moderate drought here for the most part. Definitely is still really dry out here, but definitely not as bad as some of those other areas, especially out by the Big Bend here, which you can see out there by like Cross City, bits of Perry, Lake City in the exponential drought, which is as high as the scale goes. It is really bad out there, but it looks a lot better than it did here on the last couple of updates here overall. Bits of Jacksonville, depends on which side you're on, but definitely still is pretty dry out there. Central Florida, it's just kind of a big mixed bag. Out by Orlando, it's more of a moderate drought here for the most part, maybe more of a moderate to severe. And then out by Tampa, you can see it's more of the extreme. So definitely kind of a big difference here between those areas. And then lastly, for bits of South Florida here, along Fort Lauderdale, Miami coast here, it is more of abnormally dry. Not necessarily a full-on drought for those areas here, but it's definitely, drier than usual. But of course, the Everglades here, you can see how that changes pretty quickly into the extreme drought. So overall, it is still definitely very dry out here in Florida, and hopefully we'll be getting some more rain here soon, which, in the forecast as we go into next week, I think we're definitely going to start picking back up on those storms here overall. But all right, everybody, well, thank you all so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy it, be sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button. But yeah, go ahead and make sure y'all check out our main page here in the description. We're going to be posting a video here later on today, so y'all be sure to keep an eye out there for that. We're going to talk more about the tropics and stuff like that in that video. But alrighty, everybody, well, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you guys. Hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.